You guys issued a statement on Saturday morning that got a lot of people talking. You have basically kind of narrowed down your investigation.
Right. Well, to give you a little base history on it, what we did was we came into this case what we call cold. That means we didn't discuss our case with law enforcement. We didn't discuss it with anyone. We came in knowing only that there were 4 people on a mountain and a child had disappeared. So what we did was we started to recreate this case all the way from the beginning. So there were 3 theories that we had come up with in the beginning. First, that possibility that there had been an animal that had possibly gotten the child and killed the child. Second was that it possibly could have been an abduction situation, what we call forced abduction. Or third, it could have been a possible homicide. So what we did was we began to build this case back up. We built the case from the ground level. We've now done over 80 interviews, 500 man-hours of investigation, countless statements, sworn statements, and what we've come up with simply is this. Number 1, there was not an animal that took the child in this situation. Number 2, there was no forced abduction. This includes the Black Rubicon. We can find no corroborating statements. We can find no corroborating witnesses. We can find nothing that can corroborate this. So we are absolutely beyond a reasonable doubt sure that this is not an abduction case. So that leaves us with one last possible theory, that the child could have died up on the mountain either accidentally or possibly with intent. And so now we are sinking our teeth into that part of the case, and we're developing that part of the case.
So either way, it sounds like you're saying DeOrr is not alive.
It's our firm's belief and our team's belief in the 9 investigators that are involved in this case that we do not believe DeOrr Kunz is alive.
Where do you guys go from here?
Well, where we go from here is pretty simple. We continually developing our case regarding the 2 possible issues. Number 1, that an accident happened up there, and the kid, being DeOrr, is possibly still up there in the situation that he just was missed. The second is that there was an intended removal of the body from that area. Our concern continues to be, as we have visited with a lot of the first responders that were there that day and witnesses that were there that day for the first hour of the child missing or the case missing, that none of the dogs were able to hit on any scent. We're concerned with that. We are also concerned with some other information that from folks that have come forward regarding axillary issues up on the mountain that day. And so what we are going to do is we're going to totally focus on those witnesses and those leads. And we still have, I'd say 5, maybe 6 really good active leads still working. I think that there's going to have to be a recreation again of that day. This time, I think all the forces coming together, recreating that day. And what I mean by forces is I mean that we are actively working with our information and providing it to law enforcement. We've met with law enforcement. I believe we're all on the same page on this. I think some witnesses are going to have to be brought back in and re-interviewed. And I believe that law enforcement has begun that process. At this point, we will be coming back up to Idaho very, very, very shortly, and we will be redoing those. So, the focus now is on the 4 folks that were up there that day. We're not blaming anybody. We're not accusing anybody. Now it's time for us to focus on those 4 people, and let's get to the bottom of this thing.
Are you expecting a big break here soon?
I don't know about a big break. I think it will happen faster than I think we even thought. I think the investigators are, we're never happy with a case like this, but I think we're satisfied that the case is moving faster than we thought it would move. I think we are focused on on the incident of that day, the timeline. There are some things that match, some things that don't match. And so I think we go back through now that timeline and we try to piece together that day.
Have you ever seen a case like this in your professional experience?
Well, our firm's done over 900 missing children's cases, and we've been successful at over 90% of those cases. And so this is kind of one of those cases that matches a few that we've done before, but there are some elements to this case that right when you think you've seen it all, you haven't. And I would probably classify this case as being one of those where we thought we'd seen it all, but now, it's a little bit different. I think there's a lot of why questions that need to be asked. I think we know how. We're just trying to figure out why. And I think that's where this case is.
Have all of the 4 people up there you mentioned, that have they all been cooperating with you?
I would say 3 have been cooperative. There is one that has hired legal counsel, and we have been unable to interview him, and that would be Isaac Renwald. I think it's been very public that he has hired counsel, and that's his right under the law. We have tried to make contact with his counsel. He has not returned our phone calls. We have tried the opportunity of going to Isaac's home and visiting with him before we knew he was represented by counsel, and tried to visit with him, and he declined to interview with us, although he did say that he would be willing to come interview with us with his counsel present, but his counsel has made the decision not to let him make any statements at this time. The other 3 folks that were up there, being the mom and dad and the grandfather, have all given us sworn statements, and we are analyzing those now, and so that's kind of where we are.
There are thousands of people intrigued by this case all over the world. It's bigger than just an East Idaho case. Is there anything you want all of those people to know?
Well, what I'd say to the folks out there in the social media world is that we realize this is a very emotional case. I mean, you look at that little boy's face, and I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm not gonna tell you that there hasn't been in this room that I sit right now, which is what we call the war room, where we have everything set up and we're working very hard on this case. There have not been some tears shed in this room by some very seasoned investigators, both male and female. And I would probably send the message to this: stop the conjecture, stop the rumors, be good citizens, ask your questions. We'll answer as we can on social media. We don't just sit there on social media and watch it. If we have something to say, pretty much everybody will be there to be able to hear it. If you know something, say something. We've had some excellent tips on social media, and I mean some really good ones. So we're very proud of the social media crowd, but we're asking everybody just to take a breath and take a step back. This is about a little boy, and this is about the family of this little boy, and this is about the city of DeOrr and Idaho Falls and the state of Idaho. And this is about the United States of America and how something like this can happen. Folks, it happens every day of the week. This is not our only missing child case, and this is not the only possible accidental or intended case. So take a step back, take a breath, and realize before you hit the button that posts it for the world to see, that you take just simply a breath and think about your words and reread your words, because words mean things and it hurts sometimes. I realize that there's a lot of people out there in the social media world that simply wants us to come in and think we're Superman and can come in with our white capes and solve this situation immediately. This is a 6-month case. We've been involved now 7 weeks, and I feel we've moved the case along. Law enforcement is doing a bang-up job, from the FBI in Idaho Falls all the way to Quantico, at the headquarters. I can't say enough about the sheriff up there in DeOrr. I cannot say enough about the sheriff in Idaho Falls and the great job their team is doing and the dedication of these men and women in this case on all sides. We're getting there. We promise you we're getting there. This is a very solvable case. We will get there, but you must understand that this case is now going to a prosecutorial phase very quickly, and we need to do it right. We need to do it right for the citizens of Idaho. We need to do it right for the victim, most importantly, which is DeOrr, and the family. We need to do this right, and we need to give you answers. We realize we need to give you answers. We will give you answers, but please just give us a little bit of room to do our work. We'll get there. We promise. It may not be as fast as you want it to be, but we will get there. And again, we're dedicated to this case. All the rumors that we're going to leave or we're going to leave this case is absolutely just debunked. All of these rumors that there's going to be arrests like this weekend or in the next few days is just debunked. We have some work to do. Law enforcement has work to do. Prosecutors have some work to do, and we have some work to do. So let us do our work, and we'll bring you the answers to your questions.
Mr. Klein, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.